Imagine you're walking down a road that stretches as far as your mind can see. The road is smooth, clear, but every few steps someone places a little rock in your path. This rock, they say, it's yours now. And so you bend down, pick it up, and put it in your pocket. These rocks, these limitations, they're not yours. They're other people's ideas about who you are, what you can do, who you can be. Not smart enough. Too old, not strong enough, this is who you are. They hand you these rocks, and before you know it, your pockets are heavy, weighed down by labels that were never yours to begin with. But here's the good news, you don't have to carry any of them. Let's talk about this beautiful truth. You are not what's been given to you, you are what you choose to become. Just let that sink in for a moment. You are not the labels you've inherited. You are not the limitations someone handed you in a moment of doubt or judgment. You are what you choose to become. You. Imagine for a moment that you're standing at the edge of a cliff, and in your hand you're holding all of these labels. Close your eyes and see those words, those limiting beliefs in your hands. Now with me, take a deep breath, and on the exhale, toss those labels over the edge. Watch them fall. Let them go. Because here's the thing, you can't soar while you're weighed down by beliefs that no longer serve you. But Wayne, you might say, how do I know what I can be if I've never been it? Let's address that right here. So you don't have to know every step. You don't have to know all the answers. What you need is to believe in the infinite potential within you. I promise you, once you start embracing that limitless energy, things start shifting. Doors you never noticed will start opening. People will appear in your life who lift you up. But first, you have to make the choice. Now let's talk about choice, because this is where your power lies. Every day you get to choose what you believe. You get to choose the thoughts you accept as truth. And if you want to change your life, it starts with one powerful thought: I am not limited by my past. I am free to create my future. Say it with me. Believe it as you say it. I am free to create my future. And you are. You are so much more than you others may see. You're as vast as the sky, as deep as the ocean. You have within you the power to surprise yourself, to achieve things you never imagined. But first, you have to see yourself without those labels. Now, here's a little story that might help. Picture a tiny seed buried in the ground. That seed doesn't look like much at first, just a small brown kernel with a fragile shell. People might look at that seed and say, oh, it's just a seed, nothing more. But when that seed is placed in the right conditions, when it's nourished, given light, given water, something amazing happens. It cracks open, sending roots down deep, pushing leaves up toward the sun. It becomes something extraordinary, something no one would have predicted just by looking at that tiny seed. And that seed, it never chose to limit itself. It didn't say, I'm just a seed, that's all I'll ever be. No, it became what it was meant to become: a towering tree, a colorful flower, a sprawling plant. And you're no different. Right now, no matter what you've been told, no matter what you've believed up until this moment, you have that same potential within you. You are like that seed, just waiting for the chance to break through. So what are you waiting for? Set down the rocks, my friend. Set down the labels, the limits. Leave them here right now. You don't need them. Let's get practical for a moment. Think of something you've been told about yourself, a limitation someone else has handed you. Maybe it was a teacher, a parent, a friend, even a stranger. Someone said, you're not cut out for this, or this is just the way you are. Now, ask yourself, is this really your truth, or is it just a thought someone else planted in your mind? Here's a little exercise tonight. When you're winding down, take a piece of paper and write down every limitation you've accepted about yourself. Every label you've worn that doesn't resonate with the person you want to be. Write them all down. Look at that list. Then, one by one, cross them out. I want you to look at each one, say, this is not who I am, and draw a line right through it. Watch those limitations disappear right before your eyes, and in their place, write one powerful truth. I am limitless, I am capable, I am worthy. Because here's the thing, when you start saying yes to your true self, the universe will start saying yes to you. Let that sink in. The universe isn't responding to the labels or the limits, it's responding to the energy you put out there. So if you start putting out the energy of I can, of I am enough, the universe will answer with opportunities, with resources, with the people who can help you along the way. This is not about ignoring reality or pretending challenges don't exist. No, this is about choosing the reality that empowers you rather than limits you. It's about realizing that you can rewrite your story, that you can step outside of any box that's been placed around you. Remember this, you are not here to live someone else's idea of who you should be. You are here to live your fullest, most authentic life. You are here to uncover the incredible untapped power within you. And that power, it's not somewhere out there, it's not something you have to go find. It's already here, waiting to be realized. Every single day you get to wake up and decide, who am I going to be today? Not who you were yesterday, not who you were 5 years ago, but who are you choosing to be right now? And you know what's even more powerful? Once you start stepping into this truth, once you start seeing yourself as limitless, the world around you changes. People will start responding to the energy you're putting out. They'll see you breaking through, reaching higher, and you'll start inspiring others. And isn't that a beautiful thing? To not only transform yourself, but to become a light for others on their journey. So today, as you listen to these words, know this: you are more than what's been given to you. You are what you choose to become, and your only limits are the ones you accept. Let this be the moment you stop accepting limits. Let this be the moment you step into the powerful, limitless being that you are. And remember, as you move forward, as you start embracing this truth, the only thing standing between you and your true potential is the belief that you are somehow limited. Let go of that belief. Step forward into your vast potential. Choose today to be the person you were always meant to be. Imagine for a moment that life is a mirror. A mirror that doesn't just reflect back what you see on the surface, but one that responds to the deepest truths you hold inside, the beliefs you carry in your heart and mind. Every thought you think, every belief you cling to, every story you tell yourself, these are the things that life is reflecting back at you. Because here's a truth, a powerful truth: life doesn't happen to you, it responds to you. Now, this isn't just a feel-good idea. This is the very fabric of how the universe works. Every one of us has experienced it, maybe without even realizing it. Think about the times you've walked into a day expecting challenges, feeling heavy, and all you saw were more obstacles, more frustrations. And then think about those rare days when you were filled with excitement, with gratitude, and somehow life seemed to rise up to meet you with little miracles appearing around every corner. It's not a coincidence, it's the power of your energy, your thoughts, and your beliefs creating the experience of your life. Now, if you're willing to really understand this, if you're willing to take this in at a deep level, you'll see that this truth means something remarkable. You have the power to change your reality by changing what's within you. This is the foundation of living as a no-limit person. When you believe in your own ability to grow, to expand, to embrace challenges, and when you release the belief that obstacles are bigger than your spirit, well, life itself starts to respond in ways that can only be described as magical. So let's go deeper. What beliefs are you carrying right now? What expectations do you bring to each day? Because here's the thing, the universe isn't responding to what you want, it's responding to what you believe. It's not just hearing the words you say, it's responding to the energy behind them, the conviction or doubt that you carry with them. Imagine you're sending out radio waves with every thought, every emotion, every belief. The universe picks up on those waves and mirrors them back to you in the form of people, events, opportunities, or lack thereof. It's all a reflection, a response. Here's a powerful exercise. Close your eyes and imagine you're standing in front of that universal mirror, looking deeply into it. Now ask yourself, what is life reflecting back to me? Do you see fear? Do you see doubt? Or do you see courage, confidence, a spirit ready to take on anything? Because if you're ready to live a no-limit life, you've got to look into that mirror with clarity, with a willingness to change and say, I'm ready to see my world in a new way. I'm ready to let go of the beliefs that hold me back. I'm ready to choose my power over my doubt. Think about the moments in your life where you felt most alive, the times when you were so committed to something that no obstacle could stand in your way. Maybe it was a dream you had, a relationship you wanted to nurture, a goal you set your heart on. And when you look back, wasn't it that unshakable commitment more than any external circumstance that carried you through? That's because the universe is constantly responding to the strength of your inner resolve, the power of your belief in yourself and your purpose. Let's be honest, there will always be obstacles. They're part of the journey. But when you commit to growth, to seeing every challenge as a chance to strengthen your spirit, you'll find that those obstacles shrink in comparison to the size of your purpose. When you walk through life saying, no obstacle is bigger than my commitment to grow, the universe hears that. It feels that power. And you know what happens? Those mountains in your path start to feel more like hills. Your spirit rises, your strength amplifies, and the world begins to respond to that inner shift. Now, maybe you're wondering, how do I make this shift? The answer is simpler than you might think, but it requires courage. It requires you to examine your beliefs, those deep-seated, often invisible ideas about what you deserve, what's possible, and what you're capable of. I want you to think of these beliefs as seeds that have been planted in your mind. Some of them you planted. Others were planted by family, friends, society, experiences that left a mark. But here's the powerful part: you get to choose which seeds to water, which beliefs to give life to. Here's what I mean by that. If you carry the belief that you're limited, that life is hard, that things don't work out for you, you're watering those seeds of doubt. And life, it will respond to that. But if you start choosing to nurture beliefs of possibility, of growth, of resilience, then life will mirror that choice. Every time you consciously choose to believe in your own power, your own potential, it's like planting a new seed in your mind, one that will blossom into opportunities, into synchronicities, into doors that open exactly when you need them. Here's an exercise I want you to try. Tonight, before you go to bed, take a piece of paper and write down the beliefs you want to release. Write down every thought that limits you. Every story that says, I can't or I'm not enough. Then tear up that paper. Yes, tear it up. And as you do, tell yourself, these beliefs do not serve me anymore. I am choosing new beliefs that reflect my highest potential. Feel the weight lift off your shoulders. Because, my friend, when you let go of beliefs that limit you, you make space for beliefs that uplift you, that empower you, that turn you into the person you were born to be. Let's make this even more real. Imagine you're setting out on a journey, a path that only you can walk. Along the way, there will be people who doubt you, circumstances that challenge you, and moments that test your faith. But every step you take with the conviction that life responds to you will be a step that strengthens you. And the more you walk this path, the more you'll notice that the challenges are no longer roadblocks, they're stepping stones. They're opportunities for you to say, yes, I am committed to my growth. Yes, I am more powerful than any circumstance. Imagine how your life would change if you truly believe that the universe has your back, that it's here to support your growth, not to hinder it. Imagine the freedom, the confidence, the joy that would come from knowing that every experience, every person you meet is a reflection of your inner world. When you take on this perspective, you start to see that everything, even the hard times, even the moments of doubt, are here to help you become more of who you are meant to be. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the creator of your experience. Let that sink in, because the moment you truly embrace this, the moment you start living with the belief that life responds to you, is the moment you step into a new reality. One where you are empowered, where you are free, where every obstacle is simply an invitation to rise. I'm reminded of a story, something simple but profound. There was a man who dreamed of becoming an artist, but he was told his whole life that art was a waste of time, that he'd never make a living from it. So he buried that dream. Years went by, and he lived a life of quiet dissatisfaction, believing that life had happened to him, that he was stuck with the choices he made. But one day he decided to pick up a paintbrush again, just to see how it felt. And the moment he started painting, he felt alive again. He realized that the only thing stopping him was the belief that he couldn't do it. The universe was never against him, it was simply reflecting his own doubts back to him. When he changed his belief, when he embraced the dream he had let go of, life responded in kind. Doors opened, opportunities appeared, and he found himself on a path that was more fulfilling than he had ever imagined. The same is true for you. Life isn't withholding your dreams, it's waiting for you to believe in them. It's waiting for you to take that first step, to commit to your growth, to rise above your doubts. And when you do, life responds in ways that will astonish you. So decide today, right now, that nothing is more powerful than your commitment to growth. Because when you commit to that, you'll find that the universe rises to meet you, reflecting your strength, your resilience, your limitless potential. So my friend, as you walk through life, remember this truth: life is your mirror. It reflects what you believe, what you focus on, what you choose to give your energy to. So choose to believe in your power. Choose to see every challenge as a gift, every setback as a setup for a comeback. Choose to trust that the universe is on your side, because when you do, there is no limit to what you can create, no end to the magic that will unfold before you. Picture this. Right now, wherever you are, there is a field of infinite possibility stretching out before you. You can't see it, but it's there. It's right here, surrounding you. This field, it has no boundaries, no limitations, and no impossible. It's as boundless as the sky, and it's as accessible as the air you're breathing in this very moment. But most of us live as if there are walls in this field. We live as if there are boundaries, as if there are boundaries, as if there are these concrete limits we cannot cross, barriers we cannot pass. But here's the truth: those boundaries only exist in the mind. Think about that. Those boundaries only exist in your mind. What does that mean for you? It means that any limit you believe in, any ceiling you see, it's only real because you've accepted it as real. And if you can accept the boundary as real, you can also decide it's not real. You can let it go, because the moment you shift your mindset, those limits dissolve. And that's when freedom begins. So let's step into this field of infinite possibility. Imagine it with me for a moment. Close your eyes if you want, and just feel the space around you expand. Imagine that with each breath, the walls of your mind fall away, and you step further and further into this boundless field. This is the field where miracles happen. This is where you realize that you can create, you can become, you can manifest things that defy logic, that go beyond what anyone ever told you was possible. Let's be real, most of the boundaries we live with, we didn't even create. They were handed to us. From a young age, we start hearing, no, you can't do that. Be realistic. People like us don't achieve things like that. And each time you hear these things, it's like someone hands you a little brick. And what do? We start building walls in our minds, wall by wall, until we're surrounded by limits that don't even belong to us. Limits we never chose. But those walls, they only stay up as long as you keep believing in them. Now imagine this. Imagine yourself walking up to one of those walls. Place your hand on it. Feel its texture, feel its weight, and realize that you don't have to keep it there. You have the power to knock it down. And when you knock it down, there's freedom on the other side, because freedom, true freedom, isn't about doing whatever you want in the outer world. True freedom is about knowing there's nothing holding you back on the inside. Think about how many things in your life have been limited because of a boundary you've accepted. How many dreams have you set aside because they seem too big, too unrealistic? But here's the thing, anything that's ever been achieved, anything that's ever been created started as something too big. It started as something that someone, somewhere thought was impossible. But that didn't stop the people who believed in it. Belief makes the impossible possible. I want you to think about something you've always wanted to do but believed you couldn't. What's that one thing that's always seemed just out of reach? Let that come to mind now. It could be starting a business, writing a book, traveling the world, healing a relationship, or maybe something simpler like changing how you see yourself. Whatever it is, bring it to mind. And as you hold that vision, I want you to let go of every reason why it can't happen. Because right now, in this moment, those reasons don't exist. They only exist as long as you give them power. Here's a powerful question. What would you attempt if you knew you couldn't fail? Just think about that for a second. What would you go for if you knew that nothing could stand in your way? That question alone opens up the field of possibility in ways you might never have imagined. Because when you start to live in the what if, when you start to live in that space of infinite potential, you start to see that those boundaries dissolve. And as they dissolve, you feel lighter, freer, more capable. Let's do a quick exercise. I want you to think about a boundary you've accepted in your life. Maybe it's something someone told you, something you've carried for years. Now see that boundary as a wall in front of you. Picture it, feel it, see it clearly. And with every ounce of strength you have, I want you to push that wall, break through it, watch it crumble, feel the power you have. You're not bound by that wall anymore. You're free to step into the field of your highest potential. When I say infinite possibility, I don't mean things that are just fanciful or imaginary. I mean the power you hold to create a life that resonates with your deepest self. You see, inside you, there is a voice that knows what you're capable of. There's a spark that's connected to the infinite, but too often we ignore that voice because it whispers things that seem too big, too bold. But remember, that voice comes from the deepest part of you, the part that knows the truth. When you tune into that voice, you align yourself with the energy of limitless possibility. Let me share a story that brings this to life. There was once a man who loved to run, and he wanted to do what no one had ever done before: break the 4-minute mile. At that time, scientists and athletes alike said it was impossible. They said the human body wasn't capable of running a mile in under 4 minutes. It just couldn't be done. That was the wall they had built, and everyone believed it. But this man, Roger Bannister, chose to believe differently. He trained, he prepared, he visualized, and one day he did what everyone else thought was impossible. He ran a mile in 3 minutes and 59 seconds. He broke the barrier. But here's the most fascinating part. After he broke that limit, others did it too. Within months, more runners achieved what had once been considered impossible. Why? Because the wall was gone. The boundary dissolved, and people stepped into that field of possibility, no longer bound by the limitations they'd accepted as real. You see, boundaries dissolve when you believe in the possibility, because belief isn't just something you have, it's something you are. And when you live from that place of possibility, when you stop letting limits define you, you start creating things that others can't imagine. You begin living from your limitless nature. Ask yourself this: how would I live if I knew that all of the limits I've accepted were just illusions? What would your life look like if you fully embraced the idea that there's a field of infinite possibility waiting for you? That it's here right now, and all you need to do to enter it is let go of those beliefs that say, I can't. Let's get real for a moment. We've all been hurt. We've all faced rejection, failure, setbacks, and sometimes those experiences leave marks on us. They make us cautious. They make us build walls to protect ourselves from feeling that pain again. But those walls, they don't keep the pain out. They keep the possibility out. They keep us from stepping into that field where anything can happen. But when you let those walls down, when you step into that space of openness, that's when magic happens. That's when you find yourself living in alignment with the divine energy of the universe. Think of your mind as a canvas. Every thought, every belief is a brushstroke. And if you're painting with the colors of limitation, with the colors of I can't, then that's the reality you'll live in. But if you start painting with the colors of possibility, with the colors of I am capable, I am unlimited, I am worthy of my dreams, then your life will begin to reflect those colors. So right now, ask yourself, what colors am I painting with? And if you find that they're colors of limitation, know that you can choose a different palette. You can choose colors that reflect the boundless potential within you. You can choose to live a life that reflects the field of infinite possibility. Imagine yourself a year from now, you've let go of those boundaries, you've stepped into that field, and you're living from your highest potential. What would that life look like? Picture it, feel it, make it as real as you can. Because the clearer you see it, the more it will start to take shape. Every thought you think, every action you take will start aligning with that vision. The field of infinite possibility is here right now. It's not a faraway place, not some mystical land you have to reach. It's here. And all you have to do is believe it. Because when you believe, you create. When you believe, you open doors. When you believe, boundaries dissolve, and the life you've dreamed of becomes the life you're living. Step into the field of infinite possibility. That's your invitation tonight. Imagine for a moment what would life feel like if fear wasn't in the driver's seat. If the decisions you made were truly your own, not whispered by the voice of doubt or hesitation. Imagine the freedom, the lightness of stepping forward, even as uncertainty knocks. This is what it means to be a no-limit person, to live where fear doesn't dictate your choices. Let's dive right into it, because this is big. Every one of us has felt the pull of fear, that voice that says, wait a minute, ... are you sure? What if you fail? What if it doesn't work out? But here's the thing, a no-limit person doesn't shrink back when they feel that fear. No, they step forward anyway, because the truth is, true courage lies on the other side of that uncertainty. And tonight, I want you to embrace that courage, to lean into that unknown and take a step forward. So let's get clear on this idea of fear. Fear, my friends, is the great illusion. It's this phantom we conjure up to keep us safe in what we think is a protective space. But in reality, that space is just a prison we've built ourselves. Imagine that a prison built brick by brick with fear, locking us away from our own potential. But here's a radical truth: you are holding the key right now. You've always had it. Let's break it down with a little story. Imagine a person standing at the edge of a cliff. They're looking out over this vast, beautiful view, and they're feeling this mix of exhilaration and fear. Every instinct in their body is telling them to step back. And yet there's something else, a deeper whisper that says, this is exactly where you're meant to be. Don't turn back now. That's the voice of courage, of the no-limit self. It doesn't tell you not to feel fear, it simply tells you to feel it and step forward anyway. So let me ask you, what cliff are you standing on? What decision, what choice, what step are you hesitating to take because fear is in the driver's seat? Here's a powerful truth. Every single time you choose to step forward in spite of fear, you're not only expanding your life, you're expanding who you are. Each step forward is like casting a vote for the limitless self that you're becoming. Think about that. Each time you say yes to courage, each time you step out, you are redefining the very person you're becoming. But Wayne, you might ask, what about all the times fear has held me back? And I get it, because we've all been there. We've all listened to that voice of fear and played it safe. But here's where the shift happens. A no-limit person isn't someone who's never known fear. They're someone who has chosen again and again not to let fear define them. It's like training a muscle. Every time you choose courage, every time you step forward, despite the doubts, you're strengthening that muscle of confidence and power. Let's get really practical, because I want you to feel this in your life right now. Think about a situation where fear is holding you back. Maybe it's a dream you have, a goal you want to achieve, a change you want to make in your life. But the fear is there whispering, what if you fail, or what if this isn't for you? I want you to pause right here and say to yourself, I am willing to be courageous. I am willing to step forward. Because willingness is all you need to start. Just the willingness to try. Fear likes to tell us that we need to have it all figured out, that we need guarantees, that we need safety nets. But courage, my friends, courage only asks for one thing: your willingness. Your willingness to say yes to the unknown, to say yes to the self you're becoming, even if you don't have all the answers yet. Think about this. Have you ever noticed that fear can feel a lot like excitement? The two are really close. They have the same energy, the same heartbeat. Fear says, stay back, it's too much, but excitement says, step in, it's going to be amazing. Imagine reframing your fear as excitement. That same racing heartbeat, that rush you feel, that's the energy of life calling you to expand, to grow, to become something more. Here's something to try. Next time you feel fear creeping in, instead of letting it stop, you simply acknowledge it. Say, hello, fear, I see you, I feel you, and I'm stepping forward anyway. Because fear is only as powerful as the attention we give it. When you acknowledge it and then take action despite it, you're reclaiming your power. You're saying, fear, you may be here, but you don't get to drive. I do. Another practical idea: start with small acts of courage. Courage doesn't always have to be big. Maybe it's speaking up in a meeting, calling someone you've been putting off, or trying something new that stretches you. Each small act of courage builds on the next, and before you know it, those small steps have taken you to a life that's bigger, braver, and bolder than you ever imagined. And remember, every time you choose courage over fear, you're building the habit of resilience. Because here's the thing: a no-limit person isn't fearless, they're resilient. They understand that fear is part of the journey, but they've trained themselves to bounce back, to keep going, to stay in the game even when things get challenging. And this resilience, my friends, is a superpower. It's what allows you to keep growing, keep evolving, no matter what. So let me leave you with this. What would you do if fear wasn't holding you back? What dream, what goal, what version of yourself is waiting on the other side of that fear? Tonight, I want you to get real with yourself. Ask yourself, am I willing to take one step forward? Because that's all it takes. One step, one act of courage, one moment of saying, fear, I see you, but you don't define me. And know this: every time you step forward, every time you choose courage over fear, you're building a life that's limitless. You're creating a version of yourself that's bold, resilient, and unstoppable. You're becoming a no-limit person. So when fear knocks on the door, open it wide, smile, and say, thank you for being here. I'm stepping forward anyway, because that's where true courage lies. You know, we all carry around these excuses, these invisible barriers we've created over the years, like I'm too old, it's too late for me, I don't have the resources. And what do these excuses do? They act as little walls between us and the life we know deep down we're meant to be living. Today, let's knock down those walls. Today, let's say goodbye to excuses and hello to freedom. Every excuse you let go of, that's you clearing space. It's like clearing out an old room in your mind, making way for something new, something fresh, something vibrant. Imagine it right now: you're holding a broom, sweeping away all those tired, dusty old excuses. And as you do, you start to see something amazing: the floor, the walls, the very foundation of what you can become. Imagine this room for a moment. See it in your mind's eye. There's no clutter, no excuses, no doubts hanging around. It's open, it's clean, it's ready for you to step into. This, my friends, is your space of potential. But first, let's let go of the clutter. Let's go right into it. Think about an excuse you've used lately. Maybe it's one you've been holding on to for a long time, an excuse you've almost worn as an identity. I'm just not that talented, I don't have enough time. I don't have the resources. These are the phrases we tell ourselves to feel safe to avoid stepping into the unknown. But here's the truth that I want you to hold on to tonight. Every excuse is a choice. Every time you use one of those phrases, you're choosing the barrier instead of the freedom. Now, I get it. These excuses can feel real, they can feel powerful, but they're only as powerful as we allow them to be. Every time you let go of an excuse, you're saying yes to an opportunity, a chance to step beyond what's been holding you back. You're saying yes to the life that's calling you? Think about it. Every single time you decide not to use an excuse, you're giving yourself the power. Instead of saying, I'm too old, you're saying, I'm right on time. Instead of saying, I don't have enough money, you're saying, I have all the resourcefulness I need within me. When you do this, you're stepping out of the prison of excuses and into the freedom of possibility. So let's look at this a little closer. Excuses, when you break them down, are just stories. They're stories that we've either been told or created to keep ourselves safe. But here's the paradox: these excuses aren't keeping us safe, they're keeping us small. They're shrinking us down bit by bit, moment by moment, until the life we're living is just a fraction of the life we're capable of. So if you're ready to break free, you've got to be willing to break the story. And the good news? You're the author of that story. You can rewrite it anytime you choose. Imagine for a moment a person, let's call him John. John's wanted to start a business for years. He has ideas, he has passion, but every time he thinks about taking the leap, a little voice whispers, it's too risky. You might fail, you don't have what it takes. So John stays in his job, he plays it safe. But here's what John doesn't realize: by holding on to those excuses, he's missing out on the chance to grow into the person he's meant to be. Because every excuse he clings to is a door closing on his potential. Think about that. Every excuse is a closed door, but every time you let go of an excuse, you open a door. Imagine yourself walking down a hallway filled with doors, each one leading to an incredible possibility. Now, every excuse is like locking that door. Every excuse is saying, I'm going to stay right here. Thank you, but every time you let one go, you turn that key, open the door, and step through. And on the other side, that's where your growth is waiting. That's where your true self, your no-limit self, lies. So I want you to do a little exercise with me. Think of an excuse you've been using recently. Hold it in your mind. Look at it. Feel it. Now, ask yourself, what would my life look like without this excuse? What would happen if I just stopped using it altogether? Would you feel more free? Would you feel more capable, more alive? Take a deep breath, and as you exhale, just let it go. Let go of the excuse and feel the freedom of possibility taking its place. Because here's the reality: every time you let go of an excuse, you create space. Space for new ideas, space for action, space for courage. And every time you create space, opportunity starts to fill it. Have you ever noticed that when you're truly open, things just seem to flow? That's not coincidence, that's you clearing the way for life to meet you halfway. And it will. Let me share a little story that I think will resonate. There's a man who climbed Mount Everest. Now, he wasn't a professional climber. In fact, he was a teacher, just an ordinary guy with an extraordinary dream. People told him he was crazy, that it was too dangerous, too expensive, that he wasn't cut out for it. But he didn't let their doubts become his doubts. Instead, he said goodbye to every excuse that came up and hello to his vision. He climbed that mountain, not because he was a professional, but because he didn't let his mind hold him back. He let go of the excuses, and by doing so, he let himself rise to the challenge. What would you climb if you let go of your excuses? What mountain is waiting for you on the other side of your fear? Just imagine the view from up there, the freedom, the joy, the exhilaration of knowing you did it. Because you can. This is the mindset of a no-limit person: no excuses, no barriers, no settling for anything less than the life you dream of. Now, you might be thinking, but Wayne, isn't it natural to feel fear, to have doubts? Absolutely. Fear is natural and doubts will come up. But here's the difference: a no-limit person doesn't make those doubts their home. They don't let those fears drive the car. Instead, they acknowledge them, they feel them, and then they move forward anyway. They choose freedom over fear. Here's something powerful to remember: every excuse is temporary. It's just a thought, a belief, a momentary roadblock. But the opportunity on the other side, that's real, that's lasting. When you let go of your excuses, you're letting go of a temporary thought, and you're opening yourself up to a lifetime of possibilities. Which would you rather, hold on to the excuse or the potential? I know it can be hard. Letting go of excuses means letting go of the safety net, the familiar. But think about this: the moment you let go, you're allowing yourself to grow. Imagine a balloon filled with hot air. The more weight you let go of, the higher it rises. Your potential is the same. The more excuses you release, the higher you rise. So here's a little action step for you. The next time you catch yourself making an excuse, stop and ask yourself, what am I gaining from this excuse? And what am I losing? Really take a moment with it. Because often we'll find that our excuses give us a sense of comfort, but at the same time, they're taking away our chance to grow, to experience, to live fully. You don't have to settle for comfort. You're made for so much more than that. And remember, every day is a new chance to choose freedom. Every morning, you get to decide, will I be bound by my excuses or will I be boundless? It's a decision. Freedom is a choice, just as every excuse is a choice. So why not choose the path that makes you feel alive, that makes you feel free, that lets you tap into the greatness that's already within you? Because that's what's waiting for you, my friend: a life without limits, a life filled with purpose, with joy, with endless possibility. And the only thing standing in your way, it's that little voice that says, I can't, but now you know better. Now, you know that every excuse you let go of brings you closer to the life you were born to live. Imagine just for a moment a cage. It's comfortable, familiar, a place you know well. But here's the thing: you're not locked inside. The door is wide open. You could step out at any time, yet there you are, staying within the bounds of that cage. Why? Because it's what you've always known. It feels safe. And that cage, my friends, is a perfect metaphor for the limitations we place on ourselves. It's not that we're forced to stay limited, it's that we often choose it because it's familiar, it's predictable, and there's comfort in that. But if you want to live an unbounded life, if you want to be the no-limit person we're talking about tonight, then you have to step out of that cage. You have to understand that your only real limitation is the one you impose on yourself. It's self-made. And the moment you realize that, the world opens up in ways you never imagined. Here's a little hook for you. What if the limitations you feel are only as real as you believe them to be? Think about it. Every limitation, every excuse, every I can't, it only has the power that you give it. If you believe you're limited, if you believe you're stuck, then you will be. But the second you decide that you are not defined by these thoughts, that's the very moment you step out of that cage. So let's talk about what it means to recognize and release self-imposed limits. Let's talk about how you can step into the fullness of who you truly are, the unbounded self waiting for you beyond those bars. Picture yourself right now standing at the edge of the known and the unknown. Behind you is everything you've been told you can't do, all the doubts, all the no, that's not possible for me, and in front of you. A field of pure potential, uncharted, open, limitless. What would it take to take that first step? Just one step forward beyond the line of what you know. Here's the secret: it's not a leap, it's a choice. It's the choice to see that cage for what it really is, an illusion, a construct of your own mind. I want you to think of a time in your life when you told yourself, I can't do this. Maybe it was something big, a career change, a relationship shift, a dream you had but never pursued. Whatever it was, that I can't became the bars on the cage. But the truth is, if you had believed, if you had shifted even a little bit, those bars would have disappeared. And they still can. In fact, let's go deeper into this idea of self-imposed limitations. Ask yourself who decided what you're capable of. Who set the boundaries? Was it you, or was it a combination of all the voices you've heard over the years, layering on beliefs about what's possible and what isn't? Let me tell you a story. There was a famous elephant trainer who taught young elephants to stay within a small area by tying one leg to a stake in the ground. The young elephant would pull and pull, but it wasn't strong enough to break free. Over time, the elephant learned it couldn't escape, so it stopped trying. Years later, this now massive, powerful elephant still stayed within a few feet of that stake. It wasn't even tied anymore. The chain was gone. But the limitation remained in the elephant's mind. And that's the exact way our own self-imposed limits work. At some point, something or someone told us what we couldn't do, what wasn't possible, and we bought into it. We accepted that limitation, and it became like that invisible chain holding us in place. But remember, the cage isn't locked, my friends, it's just familiar. So let me ask you, what's holding you back right now that's just as imaginary as that elephant's chain? Is it a belief that you're too old to try something new? A story you've accepted about not being smart enough or talented enough? And these beliefs are just as imaginary as the bars of that cage, but as long as you believe in them, they feel very real. Here's a powerful exercise. I want you to imagine yourself sitting across from that version of you who feels cage limited. Look into your own eyes and say, the cage isn't real. It's just a story I've believed for too long. Take that version of yourself by the hand and guide them out of that cage. Walk into the openness, into the light, because that's what's real. Now here's a bit of wisdom that can change your life. You can't see what's possible if you're always looking through the lens of limitation. If you keep telling yourself what you can't do, you'll never explore what you can do. So today, right now, I'm challenging you to stop focusing on the bars of the cage and start looking at the open door. Think of someone you admire. Maybe it's a great leader, a creative genius, a friend who's overcome tremendous odds. Do you think they arrived at greatness by staying in their comfort zone, by holding on to every fear and doubt? No, they stepped out. They looked at the bars of the cage, the doubts, the fears, and said, this isn't me. This isn't me. This isn't the life I'm here to live. And then they broke free. And here's another hook for you. You don't have to know every step. You only have to know the next one. Sometimes breaking out of self-imposed limitations doesn't mean having the entire path figured out. It's not about knowing how every detail will unfold. It's about trusting yourself enough to take one step, just one. Because that's all you need to begin. So, if there's a limitation you've been struggling with, a belief that's held you back, I want you to ask yourself, what if I'm wrong? What if you're wrong about being too old, too inexperienced, too limited? What if all these truths you've been carrying around are nothing more than stories that don't serve you? When you release these stories, you create space for new possibilities. You make room for a new way of seeing yourself. And here's the beautiful part. Once you let go of those limitations, you become magnetic. You start attracting opportunities, people, experiences that align with your limitless self. The world opens up in response to the energy you put out. So as you listen to these words, let this be a turning point. Look at the cage, see it for what it is, a construct of your own mind, a habit, a familiar place, and then make a choice. Choose to walk out. Choose to believe in the infinite potential that lies beyond. Because it's there, waiting for you as soon as you let go. The only limits that exist are the ones you agree to. The only cage is the one you accept. And as you start to step out, as you begin to release the weight of these beliefs, you'll discover something amazing. You'll discover that your spirit, your true self, was never bound at all. It was always free. And now it's ready to soar.